Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. Let's do another shading exercise and let's go over how you can shade by using these wiggly shapes. So let's get started and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, let's talk about shading methods a little bit more, and the shading method I want to talk about is these kind of wiggly shapes. For your general shading, you really should be using like cross hatching, which is just basically making a bunch of hatch lines and then you can cross it and you get a nice gradation of values depending on how many times you cross it. So you get a nice, and it's very controlled. This is, should be a primary method of shading. Now, with cross hatching, if you add on these kind of wiggly shape shading that you see me do a lot, in my portrait drawings, it really helps to smooth things out. So this is kind of what I want to talk about in this video. So let's just do like a really quick example of how, this kind of wiggly shape works. I'm just gonna do a wiggly shape and I'm gonna shade a sphere almost entirely with this kind of wiggly shapes. So these wiggly shapes, I'm very light on my hand. Generally this is kind of to smooth things out. So you really don't want to go like, this, because if you do this, you're just gonna leave a little bit too hard. And this kind of shading is really to, to soften things up a little bit. And I know I'm kind of probably going overboard with shading it like this, but I just kind of want to show you how it works. So I'm just going to do like a sphere. And this is really good hand control to exercise. So I'm going to try to get it as round as possible. Okay, so that's kind of like a sphere. So I'm going to start shading it. Let's add in some lighting so we get a little bit more dimension to this. Now I'm using a mechanical pencil, and the lead is 2B, so it's a little bit light. It's kind of good for subtle hints of shading and things like that to kind of help smooth things out. So I'm going to draw in the sphere here. So I'm going to turn my pencil a little bit just so I get a little bit harder edge. And if I keep doing this, so if I want it darker, I'll just kind of drop my arm in a little bit more, just kind of push down on it a little bit more. So it's a lot of it is hand control. But any kind of shading method you use, it's really gonna depend on your hand control anyway. So. And if you don't have it, just don't worry about it, because the more you draw, the better you'll be at it. That's just the way it is. I mean, there's really no way around it. Okay, so I'm just gonna outline the circle a little bit so I can see a little bit better. Okay, so I'm gonna do let's do a little shadow here. I'm just gonna still gonna do the wiggly shapes here, just so you can see the little strokes here. Okay, so now that I have this, it's actually, it's getting there, right? I mean, you're kind of feeling the shape a little bit. So I'm gonna push in a little bit darker. Let's push in a little bit more, because I know this is a 2B, so with these wiggly shapes, it's a little bit more difficult to get a hard shape, because you can't really get a hard line on this thing. Unless I go like this, I can go like that, which is normally what you would do, but I just kind of want to show you this whole wiggly shape thing. All right, so I'm going to push down even harder, and let's get a little bit more on the edge right here. On the edge, yeah, I probably have to cross hatch a little bit here. You really can't get like a fine line, and that's not what these wiggly shapes are for anyways. So once I get a little bit harder line, I'm going to go in and wiggle some more here. Okay, so I think that's okay. Again, it's not too dark, and this is just to show you this process. So the more I do this, you can start to see that it's smoothing things out, and I'm drawing pretty small, so you can actually see a lot of texture of the paper. So you can imagine if I drawn it really big, this this whole process would actually work pretty well, and it just takes time and you could get a really smooth looking surface. All right, so let's do a real life example as opposed to just drawing a sphere. So I'm gonna shade this arm right here. Let's sketch in real quick, just some of the features. Okay, and then I'll start shading this thing. All right, make sure I'm in frame. Okay, here's the armpit right here. Okay, and then there's some muscles going on. And then here's the bra going up. So let's see. So again, you know, it's just whatever. Just kind of want to get something to shade. All right, so this is kind of the armpits right here and this arm, elbow. All right, so let's start doing the shading here. I'm just gonna start out on this elbow area. So I'm gonna start wiggling my pencil, that is, not me. All right, bad joke. All right, so I'm gonna, here it's a little bit darker, so I can actually, the edge, I'll just kind of do these lines. And then as I come over here, this thing goes under. Okay, so it's darker here. And the armpit right here is pretty dark, so I'm gonna just kind of draw like a little line here. Probably this placement's a little bit wrong, but okay. Let's just go with it. So I'm just gonna keep going. You know, you can really start anywhere, but it's kind of nice to start in the darker areas, just so get yourself warmed up a little bit. All right. So again, more wiggly shapes. This is, bottom part is darker here. Okay, so it's very light. Everything's still very light right now. And with a 2B, I really can't go too dark anyways. But you can see how just, you know, this whole, just kind of keep wiggling and you get, eventually you start to get more and more definition in. Okay, and I'm seeing a little bit more, there's a little, this is slightly darker. Okay, so now let's go back, let's go down to this area because this is the darkest area right here. So I'm gonna wiggle. Okay, there's a line here, it's pretty dark, so I could put in that. I'll keep wiggling. So if I need a bigger area, I'll just do like a bigger circle and just kind of keep at it. Okay, this is dark. So this is just regular print paper, and if I go over it too many times, you know, the surface do get kind of weird. It's not great for, you know, repetitive shading. So hopefully I won't have to do it too much, you know. Hopefully I can get it correct. Okay, so here's darker. I'll just kind of run these lines along. This is dark here. I'm gonna fade it out, very light. Okay, very light, and I'm able to get like a nice fade off. This darker here. Let's go one step darker. Okay, so you can see how it works. So this is right here, it's darker, so I'm gonna run a line here. Wiggle some more. Yeah, with this 2B, the paper is starting to get slippery. You know, because I'm rubbing it more and more, and this, you know, the tooth of the paper is coming off. Basically, it's disappearing, and that's why it gets kind of slippery sometimes, especially with these print paper. But it, you know, it still works, and you can actually get some pretty good realism off of this print paper too, just because it's so smooth. You know, you can actually shade it very lightly, and you know, with the smooth surface, you'll pick up a lot of little marks you do, so you can make it a little bit more realistic. Okay, so let's see. Here, here, here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I know I'm kind of going overboard. I normally wouldn't. You probably don't want to, you know, do these kind of wiggly shapes, but I just kind of want to show you that, you know, how you can use this to smooth things out, and you get a nice, you know, kind of like more realistic rendering. And this kind of stuff, you know, takes a little bit longer to shade just because, you know, you're making so many little lines, but I mean, it works well. Okay, so I mean, I guess I can hit it a little bit harder. These edges right here. Okay, so yeah, try practicing this kind of shading, and it's really good. You know, if you let's say you cross-hatch something like this, right, and it's very rough, and then you want to clean it up. You know, what you want to do is you can just kind of go in and just kind of wiggle. You know, these kind of wiggling shapes. I don't know what I'm drawing here, but just saying, you know, you can fade it out fairly nicely with this kind of stuff. And let's say I want to go in and clean it up. All right, let's make this edge dark. Let's see if we get a nice gradation going. Okay, so I'm drawing those lines and make this a little bit darker. Let's make that edge darker. Kind of cross-hatch a little bit here. Okay, so you can see you can get a nice gradation, and you can really smooth out. That's it. Go real light right here, so you get some real nice fading on the edge. And again, 2B pencil. I'm not able to get too dark, but okay, so you know, that's how it is. Just wiggle, and it's a great addition to your cross-hatching shading. So I hope this is useful to you guys, because you know, whatever you draw, you kind of shade it. So you might as well learn these kind of techniques. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and you find it useful. Please do give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.